The question of the night, it's the one that's, a lot of folks are having around their dinner table this holiday is, uh, are we going on strike? I know the collective agreement expires in a couple of days, this and that. The big question is there going to be a strike?
Like, subscribe, and share to Voices of Linden TV.
Welcome to another edition of the Let's Talk Show. I'm your host, Andrew James, and tonight I'm pleased to have with us in studio via Zoom the president of Local 79, Miss Nas Yadollahi.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me back. It's good to see you again. It's been a little while.
Welcome to the show, Nas. Yes, I know it's been just over, I think, approaching the year mark. About 12 months ago, we had you here. You know, Usually people don't come back, but you're back and we're happy. And it's good to have you in the hot seat tonight.
It's good to be here.
Welcome to the show, Nas. Nice to see you again. Thank you for sharing your time with us. I know it's Christmas Eve. You should be out with your friends or your family, relaxing. But here we are, the midnight hour. We burned the candle. A lot of questions, and it's nice to really get you back in again. How's the holidays going there for you, Nas?
We haven't really been able to slow down much, as you know, and I'm sure we'll touch on a little bit later. We've been in bargaining mode, but it's nice just even the next few days when things just kind of slow down. And even if you wanted to go grocery shopping, you couldn't because most places are closed.
Hmm.
And just like the slower pace of everything is really nice.
Nas, you've been in the business now for about 12 months. As Madam President, you're sitting high in the local 79 rank there. Can you tell us about your first year in office, what it's been like?
I think it's a really good question. It's been humbling. It has been exciting. It has been exhausting. I liken it to people who are expecting to become parents for the first
Mhm.
time. And everybody sort of tries to tell them, what to expect. They say your life is going to change, it's going to be exhausting, but it's also going to be amazing. And you don't quite understand until you step into that role. This is
Mhm.
very similar. And it's been challenging. And like I said, it's been exhausting. But more than anything, I think it's been eye-opening and wonderful. And it's had its excitement. And it's encouraging. I think it's also been a time when you've seen the growth
Mhm.
of a space and the sheer determination and strength that I have seen exhibited by workers over the past year has been something that I could not imagine being able to experience. And, watching workers take on the fight for themselves and their colleagues where their livelihoods are concerned. I'll give you the example of, and I'm sure and I know you get our monthly newsletters,
Mhm.
you and others would have seen the courageous standing up of long-term care workers at Kipling Acre, who for a long time, were talking about issues in the workplace and they were fed up and they were tired, but who finally decided that they were going to take action, like
Right.
meaningful action. So these have been the parts about this work this year that has been really wonderful. And like I said, the work comes with plenty of challenges as well.
Very nice. You said, I know you're a powerhouse. I've seen you at City Hall. I've seen you all over the different TV stations and so on. And my I see you as a strong woman, a woman of resilience, and someone who is not easily phased. And I appreciate you for that. Knowing what you know now with the job and how it's difficult and the challenges and so on, going back, knowing what you know now, would you still want this role?
Yes. Yes, because I think um, you have to accept that no matter what you take on in
Hmm.
life,
Hmm.
it comes with two extremes.
Yes.
They come, things come with incredible rewards
Yes.
and challenges. And I don't think you could appreciate the rewards without the challenges.
Hmm.
And in this role in particular, when we're up against a beast, right? The city of
Right.
Toronto is the largest municipal employer in the entire country, one of the largest in North America. So naturally, those challenges are going to be big. When you see how workers come together in their shared humanity and their strength, and they organize and they mobilize to tackle the challenges together, that's rewarding. That is, I don't think you could change that. I wouldn't change that. Yes, I would do it all over again.
What has surprised you most about being the Madam President? What has surprised you most about being the head of this wonderful local 79 union?
Honestly, Andrew, it's been what surprised me, and I alluded to this a little bit in your first question, but just how bad things are
Mhm.
for workers, but also how determined they are to make things better. And like, let's just start with, things are bad. Things are bad for members across the board. I don't think a lot of our workers don't know that we service over 45 divisions and even more branches. But the challenges for workers is common across the board,
Mhm.
right? People are struggling in their workplaces, workplace morale is low, people's wages are not keeping up with the cost of living and inflation. Increasingly, our workers are feeling like they're being suffocated in the workplace. And our members are going to food banks, they're accessing shelters. Things are much worse than I thought they were. I knew they were bad for me in my workplace, but what I didn't appreciate was that so many tens of thousands of workers across the city had those same shared challenges. And what I'm also realizing is that our members are incredibly strong, they're determined, and they want things to change, and they're willing to do the work that's necessary to see those changes through. So that's probably been the most surprising thing. Like I said, just how bad things are, and but also realizing the strength of our workers.
Folks want to know, this is a big question. People want to know, how is bargaining going? What say you where that is concerned?
We knew that this was going to be a very significant and important round of bargaining. We know that there's a lot riding on this. Right? We've had many, many, many years, I would say a number of decades, in which we have been um, at a loss where our contracts are concerned. Just over the past 5 years, our contract saw a 6% increase over 5 years,
Mhm.
while the cost of living was soaring and inflation was anywhere between 2 and 7%. So we're actually losing a lot. And workers are tired of just getting by. Frankly speaking, we don't deserve to just be getting by. We don't want to just be surviving. We deserve to be thriving. And understandably, people are anxious. They want gains. They don't want any concessions. And I think the city has been saving on the backs of workers over the past few consecutive contracts. And look, nobody should be congratulating the employer for anything right now. I think that's incredibly premature. Whatever the employer ends up putting on the table, they know that is the minimum of what workers deserve. And the best way to look at this is this city would collapse without its frontline workers. Local 79 is the largest municipal local in the entire country. At 30,000 workers, we're larger than some provincial unions. And the city would literally collapse if frontline workers were not there. The same cannot be said about management. There would be ways to continue to deliver services without people who are there to manage frontline workers. But the same cannot be said about frontline workers. So I think we know there's a lot riding on this. We understand that the members want to be aware and involved. This is why we have implemented open bargaining in this round, so that people can take responsibility for the outcomes of this round, and the gains will be for all of us to celebrate, and not something that's drawn up behind closed doors.
As with all respect for your office and the wonderful work you're doing there, I don't mean to be presumptuous here with you, but folks are asking the question: why didn't you go in with the other union? Why didn't you go in with your local, 416 brothers and sisters? There's a saying, "Go stronger together," this and that. What happened there? What was the disconnect? Why are we here and they're there?
I actually have a very positive relationship with our fellow coworkers at 416. There is no disconnect. Local 416 and Local 79 served notice to bargain on exactly the same day, on October the 1st. The city has historically chosen to move negotiations along with 416. The city we agreed with the city that we would start to meet in November. And because we wanted to take an open and transparent approach, it means a lot of member organizing to explain to the members how this is going to work and bring everybody along for the ride. So naturally, our organizing took a little bit more time. But this has been the city's model for decades. They go to the table with other local unions first, trying to establish some kind of a pattern for 79. Local 79 is its own union. We are, like I said, the largest local union in the country. We're 30,000 people. The work that we do is vastly different than the work that our colleagues at 416 do. 65% of our membership, 70% of our membership are women. 60% of our membership are racialized folks. The work that we do is labor intensive in different ways. And I think it's time that we start comparing, right? I think we're doing ourselves a disservice when we liken a very complex web of divisions and roles and responsibilities and jobs and classifications with any other local union, be it 416, library workers, other municipal workers. We need to start separating and saying, this is the contract that Local 79 members want and will demand. And it may have nothing to do with what another local union has agreed to. I think that's really important.
The question of the night, it's the one that's, a lot of folks are having around their dinner table this holiday is, are we going on strike? I know the collective agreement expires in a couple of days, this and that. The big question is there going to be a strike?
One of the beautiful things about open bargaining is that you and I will both know if we're going on strike at the exact same time. If and when workers decide that they are not content and happy with what the employer has tabled, you and I and 30,000 other people will make the decision about whether or not there will be a labor disruption. We will make that decision as a collective. And so it would be premature for me to tell you something that you and I both don't know. I hope that the employer understands the plight of workers and will be serious at the bargaining table in addressing the crises in so many of our work environments, and the result of this bargaining will be to address those issues and those concerns.
Can you tell us, like, what is the most challenging aspect of being Madam President?
I'm going to repeat what I said earlier because it really is one of the most challenging aspects, and that is watching and understanding and realizing just how much workers are struggling across the board. That's the most challenging. But I would also say that not being able to rectify the concerns and the challenges that workers have in their workplaces more quickly is one of the most challenging aspects of this work. Like we are operating within an institution that is constantly presenting challenges for us. And the way that the system is designed is not to be expeditious or to work in the best interest of workers most of the time. If you look at their grievance process, for example, people who have workplace issues and concerns and go through the grievance process, it could be years before they see an outcome. And oftentimes those outcomes are not to their favor. And I know that yourself and your colleagues have experienced this. While those things are useful, they are still challenging. And so meeting the expectation of workers to rectify workplace concerns and issues and challenges in a timely manner is difficult. Seeing how indifferent the employer is to the concerns of workers is extremely challenging, because when you think about it, you would assume that we're all on the same page, right? Everybody wants a thriving, positive work environment where we understand each other. That's just not the reality. It's not the reality for the majority of our workers and their experiences in the workplace. And watching ourselves have to go back to management time and time again, expressing the same concerns over and over again is challenging. And that's why I want to commend again the workers at Kipling Acre, because they were appealing to the employer to fix the workplace for years. And it wasn't until they took to the streets and said enough is enough. It wasn't until it was covered on 3 major news channels, other labor organizations and grassroots organizations came out to support, that they started to see a shift and a change. And I think what's important is to realize the strength and the power that workers have when they actually take matters into their own hands and say, you know what, your processes are great. They're fine. They're a tool in our toolkit, but our greatest strength is when we unite, first and foremost, based on our shared humanity, but then also on our shared challenges. And we unite to confront the employer, which is essentially, to go back to your previous question about bargaining, our greatest strength in this round of bargaining is going to be how we unite as workers across 30,000 people to fight for the things that we all deserve, irrespective of our divisions, our wage grades. None of that stuff matters. We all want to be doing better after this round of bargaining than we were before. And so your struggle is my struggle, and my struggle is your struggle.
there's a lot of people who don't generally agree with anything. They're always objective. They seem to always be combative, crude and rude, and it presents a sense of instability and not working in the best interest, damaging our social cohesion push. How do you deal with stuff where like individuals like these? I mean, it's like you see it wherever you go. A little bit of upstarts. Every organization have them. How do you deal with folks? Those.
I think it's important to first hold space and hear what people's grievances are, right? You asked me earlier what are some of the challenges of this role, and you don't always hear good things, and sometimes people's grievances are legitimate, and you have to hold space for people to be critical, because we don't grow. Like, growth doesn't come from a comfortable place. Growth comes from times and moments where we're lacking, or we miss something, or we don't do something as expected. And it requires a kind of accountability and being held to account, to be able to hold space to hear that first, and then figure out, okay, how can I do things differently so that we can not miss this next time or do better. But to your point, I will always go back to this. There are ways in which we can achieve things collectively together.
Mm-hmm.
That is void of hostility and a transaction that dehumanizes others. And I think always going back to, what is the intent and purpose of how I'm showing up? Is my intent and my purpose in how I'm showing up to strengthen our collective power, to build up somebody, whether it is the president of a local union or a rank and file worker or somebody on the street, right? If you're going through the grocery store checkout and somebody messes up on checking you out accordingly, or misses or double scans one of your items, right? In that moment, you can choose to get angry and lash out, or you can choose to say, hey, I'm sorry, I think you scanned this twice. Do you mind? It really is looking at individuals and saying they are just as human as I am. None of us are perfect. I think we are all imperfect beings, and in those imperfections are, I'm sure there's charming characteristics. But yeah, just understanding, is the outcome that I'm seeking going to be more likely if I find meaningful ways to express myself, or not. And like Andrew, we've this is our second time speaking. I think we've had other conversations. We get to choose how we show up every day. What we don't get to choose is how other people show up. What we do get to choose is how we respond and react to how people show up. And in this role, I've learned that, yes, it's not always nice, it's not always pleasant, but if we look at each other with the humanity that we want the other person to see us in, I think we'll be fine.
As you said, well, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for all you've done so far. I think sometimes people, in general, we expect so much from leadership, and it's like you said, folks have a way of amplifying bad news, and instead of taking time to say, Naz, I appreciate you, you're doing good, keep going, your sense of resilience is present, and we can work together, be able to make it better. People focus their attention on, like you said, tearing down instead of building up, right? So I just want to take some time to acknowledge you. I think you're on the right track, and stay the course, stay focused, keep smiling, keep shining. You're doing good, and together we'll make it.
I wanted to thank you, and I also want to take this opportunity to really express my gratitude to our entire membership, like all 30,000 people. We're having this discussion over the holidays. It's worth noting that we have thousands of workers who don't get these holidays off, and we have operations that are 24 hours, including in your own division. And I really do want folks out there to know that your work is valued and valuable. And I think in addition to bargaining, we have to continue to acknowledge that the work that we do is significant. And so I wanted to thank folks, especially folks who are working through the holidays and maybe want to be spending time with their loved ones and are not able to spend as much time as they would like with their loved ones. So thanks to them and thanks to you. And I hope that you have a wonderful new year. I think we have a lot to look forward to in the new year.
What can folks look forward to in 2025? I'll put you on the spot. I know, Nas, we don't get you in too often. So I have, I'm going to try to squeeze as much juice as I can out of you. What can folks look forward to in 2025 from their local 79 union?
I'm glad you asked that because I think it's a good way to end. We have done so much over the past year to connect and to build and mobilize and organize as a collective of 30,000 workers. We have had an unprecedented number of town halls, engagement opportunities with workers. For the first time, we've developed an organizing committee that's been out. I know you came to a couple of our organizing committee meetings in organizing around bargaining. And we have reconnected. Like, how often was Local 79 in the Toronto Star or in media prior to 2024, right? We've been able to reconnect publicly. We have reconnected with our labor partners, with other grassroots organizations, and like I said, most importantly and significantly, with rank and file workers. If you remember the last time we spoke, I talked about needing to invert this triangle, which sees local leadership at the top, and we sort of like push down onto our members the way that we think things ought to be or the things that we want to do. And I think over the past year, we've done a very good job of starting to invert that triangle by reaching out to our members, creating space and opportunities for folks to chime in and talk to and tell us the things that they would like to see done. And I think 2025 is going to be a continuation of that growth and reestablishing the rank and file workers as the actual leaders of Local 79. And hopefully, we can say that it's a year that saw us get a really good contract that we can all be proud of. And it will be because of the determination, strength, and hard work that all of our rank and file workers are going to be working towards over the next few months. So I'm optimistic about 2025. I think if 2024 was there any indication, there's lots more good things to come.
Just in closing, Nas, how does Local 79 look differently today than it did, let's say, 2-3 years ago?
I would love to ask our workers that, because I think they have the real answer. But I can tell you from the feedback that I and other folks at the local have gotten is that it is much more open. Like I said, for the first time in Local 79's history, we're taking on an open bargaining process. We have never, ever invited the membership to be a part of this organization in its structure the way that we have throughout the past year, and we will continue to do moving forward. So I think Local 79 has a much more worker-centered and driven approach now than it ever has, frankly, not just the past few years. And I honestly think we have reestablished ourselves as a force in the entire labor movement across the country. Whatever we accomplish and we do, as the largest local union in the country, we don't just owe it to ourselves. We owe it to workers across this country, unionized or non-unionized, because I can tell you that if we can't do it, then how do we expect other smaller locals to be able to do it? So whatever we accomplish in 2025 and whatever we've accomplished in 2024, we're going to continue to build on. And hopefully you and I will be having this conversation at the end of 2025, and we'll have more great things to share.
In closing, any closing thoughts, Nas, as we're about to bring the curtains down?
Yeah, I think it would be remiss of me if, in speaking about challenges and successes, that we also didn't shed some light on some of the other challenges that workers face, and that is mental health. And, our environments increasingly are not, may not be positive, and we bring so much of our other pieces of our lives also into work, and we take so much of our work into other spaces of our lives that I am always reminded about how important it is to be mindful and listen to ourselves especially when we feel like things are getting hard and where our mental health is being compromised, and reach out to and reach for the services and the people who may be able to help us overcome our challenges and our difficult moments. And I want to extend my condolences to you and the entire MLS working membership in the passing of Munil Sharma. I know it's been a very difficult time for many folks, a lot of folks who spent time working with Munil, and this sort of thing never becomes easy. And I also want to extend my condolences to his family and loved ones, and really offer this up, that at one point or another, we all are seemingly going through difficult times and challenges. And it's important to know the resources that are available to us and the people that we can reach out to in moments of crises. And if it's okay, I would like to end by taking a moment of silence for Munil and others who we have lost this year. Thank you.
Nas, on behalf of everyone on the Let's Talk show, I want to take this opportunity to thank you very much for being a part of our show. I know it's a busy night tonight. You could be elsewhere, but I salute you for your courage. Thank you all for the team of being on air tonight. It's good. Thank you very much for being a part of the show, and I look forward to talking to you in the new year. Just in closing, I just want to say one little word of encouragement to you. Let's continue in our quest to being kind, giving everyone a listening ear, and working together and promoting this concept of respect and social cohesion for each and every one of us. Because at the end of the day, we're all workers. You're working in a union, you're not. We're all the same level. We're all breathing the same air. We're all in this for the same reason. And I'm a strong believer of, together we're stronger. So continue pushing. Reach out to me, and I always call you when I need you. If for one, we can, work together to make the union stronger, because I think it's in the best interest of all of us. The employer, the employee, the this, the that, the that, the that. All of us are in it together. Let's work together. Let's keep smiling. Let's make a difference in 2025. All right. So stay well, take care, and I look forward to working and supporting you wherever I can. Thanks again.
Thank you, my friend. Happy holidays. Thanks for having me again. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Happy holidays. Take care, Nas.
Take care. Thank you.